Okay, welcome to Hanging Out with Bob, podcast hosted by me, Bob Edholm. Thanks for joining us, and let's get started. Well, I'm really looking forward to this podcast. My guest today is Jon Lawrence, my friend from Northeast Minneapolis. Jon has been a guest of mine on a few other podcasts. Both he and I share a love for Minnesota sports teams, and today our focus will be on the Minnesota Twins and their run to a World Series championship in 1991. Jon, welcome back for another podcast episode of Hanging Out with Bob.
Thanks. Good morning.
First of all, Jon, where were you in 1991? Were you working, going to school? Do you remember?
I was finishing up college,
Okay.
and I was working. I kind of worked pretty much full time while I went to college. Worked my way through. So, but summers were off, and big Twins fan.
Yep. Well, in 1991, I was working at Prudential. I was celebrating my 12th anniversary with the company in September of that year. Now, earlier in 1991, if you'll recall, the Minnesota North Stars had reached the Stanley Cup Finals.
Right. Surprisingly.
Yeah, they did that a great year. Unfortunately, they lost to the Penguins, the Pittsburgh Penguins, in 6 games. And also in 1991, local interest, the U.S. Open was held at Hazeltine National Golf Club in Chaska, Minnesota.
That's right.
And here's a trivia question, Jon. Do you remember who won that U.S. Open?
91, was that Payne Stewart?
Exactly, very good.
Right.
Yep, it was actually an 18-hole playoff. He went against a guy named Scott Simpson.
Right.
And it was memorable because Stewart actually overcame a 2-stroke deficit to win on the final holes. Payne Stewart was the one who wore the golf knickers and the Argyle socks, kind of a throwback to way back when. So, very good. And 1991 was also the year my daughter turned 3 years old. Now she's married, and she and my son-in-law have a daughter who started first grade in September of 2025. So, wow. Well, Jon, our listeners know from some of our previous podcasts that you're a huge Twins fan, like me, and a fan of Major League Baseball in general. But what were you expecting of the Twins going into that 1991 season?
Well, the previous year had been pretty disappointing, but they had signed Jack Morris. We had seen glimpses of Scott Erickson in September of the prior year, and he really looked good.
Yeah.
So I was optimistic. I certainly didn't expect a World Series, but I was optimistic that they would have a good year.
Yeah. It's funny. It had just been 4 years prior to 91 that the Twins won the World Series against the St. Louis Cardinals in '87. And it's funny, that '87 championship team, the next year, they actually had a much better record in '88. They were 91-71. They were 20 games above 500, but they still finished 13 games behind Oakland, which just had an incredible regular season, although they lost to the Dodgers, right, in the World Series. That's when Kirk Gibson hit that home run with the bad leg and everything.
Right.
So even with their 100-some wins, they didn't win the World Series that year.
It happens.
Yeah, it does. And then in 1989, the Twins went 80-82. They finished 5th in the American League West. And then in 1990, as we were saying, they were a disappointing 74-88. They finished 7th, in other words, last in the division. The Twins drew 1.75 million fans to their then home, the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome in 1990, which was actually quite a dip from the over 3 million fans the year after the World Series. The year they drew 3 million,
right.
It was always packed. It's like, man, baseball was very popular for several years. So, and then came 1991. Thanks to some strong pitching, lots of offensive firepower, effective coaching, a home field advantage at the Metrodome, and a blend of good team chemistry and resilience, the Twins put it all together in 1991 and went on to win the World Series. They beat the Atlanta Braves 4-3, and all 4 of those Twins wins came at home at the Metrodome. It was the 31st season for the Twins franchise in Minnesota, their 10th season at the Metrodome, and their 91st season overall in the American League. They were the Senators, of course, before then. And, of course, it was their second World Series championship in 5 seasons. Now, in this podcast, Jon and I will talk about some of the moves the Twins made to build their roster in 1991. So we'll talk about how the team performed in the regular season, how they fared in the American League Championship Series, and then finally, the Twins' memorable moments in that World Series itself. Jon, how many games did you attend at the Metrodome during that 91 season, do you think?
Ooh, I would say probably 5, maybe, probably not quite 10, but somewhere in the 5 to 8, somewhere
Okay.
there.
Not as many as you went in 87. In a previous podcast, you talked about you almost lived there in 87.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to college in Mankato, so early season wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Again in the fall, so it had to be in those few months in between, and I was working, and so
Right.
I got away when I could,
Sure.
but not quite as many.
Okay. Now, before we talk about the Twins season in 1991, both the regular season and the postseason, let me test your memory about some of the key players who made up this team, okay? Well, first of all, there was a considerable reshaping of the Twins roster in January and February of 1991. It began when a certain Twins third baseman left as a free agent on
Right.
January 25th in 1991 to sign with which team, Jon?
Ooh, was it Boston?
Well, who was the player first?
Oh, Gary Gaetti.
Right. Do you remember where he went?
Thinking Boston, or at least he played in Boston at some point, I think.
It was the California Angels.
Angels,
That's where he
okay.
went. Yep.
All right.
But less than 12 hours after Gaetti's departure, the Twins signed which free agent as a new third baseman?
Must have been Pagliarulo.
Yep. From the New York Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
His nickname was simply Pags.
Thanks. Yep.
It's a hard name to pronounce fast, too
Right.
many syllables. And after Pags was signed, 2 more key free agent signings followed. One player was a designated hitter whose first name is also a topping that some people like to put on their hot dogs. And the other player was a pitcher from St. Paul. Who were those 2 guys, Jon?
Chili Davis and Jack Morris.
Do you remember where Davis was playing before he came to the Twins? Where he
Well, he
came
bounced around a lot, but San Francisco maybe. He played in San Francisco. He played in California Angels.
You're right.
Boston Red Sox.
It was the Angels. That's where he came
Okay.
from. And then, of course, the other player that they signed,
Jack Morris.
From St. Paul. Yep. He was with the Tigers. Yep. And he signed on February 5th. So Chile was signed on January 30th of 91, and then Morris was just a week later.
Wow.
Okay. Now, you remember that blockbuster trade in July of 1989? That's when they sent Frank Viola to the Mets. Do you remember who they got in the trade? There were not 1, 2, but 3 pitchers in that trade.
Was that so? They would have gotten Rick Aguilera, David West, and reliever.
I'll give you a hint. He's from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
Well, it's been 30-some years.
Yeah, exactly.
As soon as I tell you the name, you go, oh, yeah. Well, his first name is Kevin.
Oh, Kevin Tappan.
That's
yep. Right. Oh, yeah, that was big. Actually, I think there might have been 5 guys altogether.
Well, these 3 were really pivotal. Those are the ones that we remember.
Guys.
Yep.
That's right.
And here's another interesting one, and I got this from my research, of course, but in 1991, there were only 7 players that were still on the Twins roster from that 87 World Series championship, and none of them were pitchers. You want to take a guess at who those 7 might have been?
All right. Well, Kirby and Herbie for sure.
Yep.
And Gladden. Gladden was on both teams.
Yep.
Newman?
Yep. Al Newman. Yep.
Larkin, Gene Larkin.
Very good. Yep.
Randy Bush.
Yep.
And
I think you've got them all. So, yeah, but Randy Bush was primarily an outfielder and pinch hitter.
Yep.
And then Greg Gagne was a shortstop.
Gagne was the guy I didn't mention.
Well, and we've talked about Gagne before, but I remember you said that he was probably one of the most underrated shortstaps in baseball. I mean, just amazing glove and fast and good hitter. And
right. When you're talking about what made the 91 team good, you didn't mention defense, but I think defense, Gagne had huge range, and so he allowed for average fielding third baseman next to him. The outfield range was excellent as well. Puckett and Shane Mack, those guys could cover some ground, so there wasn't a lot of green space.
Yeah.
And I think that was very underrated about that team.
Yep. No, good point. Yeah, like I said, there was Randy Bush, Greg Gagne, Dan Gladden in left field, Kent Hrbek at first. You said Herbie, but everybody knows it's Kent Hrbek.
Yep.
And then Gene Larkin, also a DH and utility player. Al Newman was a utility infielder who actually really was always really good when he filled in.
Right.
I never saw him, mess up on a bunch of ground balls. He
No,
was very
he was
steady.
a great fielder.
Yeah, and then, of course, Kirby Puckett. So, okay, one more to test your memory of those 91 Twins. There were 4 other young stars, we'll call them, who blended successfully with the Twins. First player, John, he platooned with Pags at third base. Remember his name?
Scott Laius.
Scott Laius, yep. Second player, he played in right field and came to the Twins via the Rule 5 draft.
Yep. Shane Mack, and that was his second year with the Twins.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
They got him at either 89 or 90.
Yeah.
So he had been with the Twins for a year or two.
Do you remember what the Rule 5 draft actually meant?
Yeah. So teams can protect 40 men for 40-man roster, and any player that has been in their system for X number of years, and at the time I think it might have been 5 years. If they're a minor leaguer that's spent 5 years and they're not on the 40-man roster, they're eligible to be drafted in the Rule 5 draft.
Mm-hmm.
And that was
Very good. Thanks for explaining that.
That was a very good pickup they got out of that deal.
Yep, that's like trying to explain the infield fly rule.
Right.
But
Right.
You nailed it. You nailed it. Okay, the third player that I have mentioned here, he was a pitcher, but not just any pitcher. He was a 20-game winner with a 12-game winning streak.
Yeah, Scott Erickson.
Yep.
He was electric.
Yep, he was.
Especially that season before his arm injuries.
Yep. I remember he'd hide his face behind the glove
Yep.
when he'd pitch. He'd hold it up, and you could only see his eyes.
Right.
And then the fourth player, a rookie, who played second base.
Yeah, Knobloch.
Chuck Knobloch. Yep.
A perfect Tom Kelly guy.
Yep.
Just a gritty guy. Notwithstanding his personality and what he later became, but he was a really good glue guy for that team.
Yeah, he was a great fit, and only, like I said, a rookie. I mean, he was really played well.
Right.
He just got right in. So, with manager Tom Kelly, who was in his 6th year at the helm, the 1991 Twins regular season was highlighted by a remarkable turnaround from a last-place finish in 1990. And one of the key regular season moments was their club record 15-game winning streak in June of 1991. That streak moved them to first place in the American League, and they stayed there for the rest of the season. Only a genius, you'd have to be having a list. Do you remember how that streak actually went? It was a combination of road and home wins. But
Right.
I had to look it up, but see if this just rings a bell. It started with they won 2 games at Kansas City on the road. Then they came home and they won 10 straight.
I know Baltimore was in
Yep,
there.
they swept Baltimore, and there were 2 other teams. It counted up for 10 wins. It was 3 against Baltimore, 4 wins over Cleveland, and then 3 over the Yankees.
Okay, yep.
And then they won 3 more on the road at Cleveland before they finally lost at Baltimore. It was a 10-inning game, 6-5. But 15, that's still a record. That's still their longest winning streak. Even this past season, they won 13, but they didn't catch that.
And they'd been pretty mediocre before that streak. I think they started out maybe 8-10 games below 500 into May. And then that streak kicked in probably early June.
Yep. Well, for the month of June, this was interesting. They went 22-6.
Yeah.
They were 12-4 at home and 10-2 on the road. That's a winning percentage of 786. Just during the regular season, John, can you think of a highlight of that season, a particular game, for example, that sticks out most for you? Do you have any memories from that? And it's okay if you don't, but I've got one that my brother helped me remember. So.
Yeah. Well, personally, I was in that era. I would make a trip to Milwaukee every year, and I drove. And it was a lot like the Met Stadium. They had a parking lot right outside the building. You drove up to the ticket office, when they weren't playing, when the parking lot was empty, and me and my dad, who was a baseball fan. Drove up to try to buy tickets for the day, and this was in July, I think.
Yeah.
As we got out of the car, here came the Twins team bus.
Oh.
First off the bus is Tom Kelly, and right away hey Tom, how's it going? And all the players file off and whatnot, and Tom Kelly comes over and says hi to us.
Oh, wow.
And that made my day. It made my dad's day.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, this all happened about 10 yards from the ticket office window, which was empty, other than the the clerk.
Yeah.
Me being opportunistic, as soon as the Twins left, I walked over to the window and said to the lady, "Mr. Kelly said you have a special ticket for us." and we got front row tickets.
Oh my gosh.
Right behind home plate.
Oh.
Scott Erickson was pitching, and it's one thing to watch him on TV, but from the viewpoint I had, you could see the movement on his pitches. You could see it cross the plate and never cross the middle of the plate. It would always cross either the front corner, either corner of the front of the plate, and by the time it got halfway deep into the plate, it was off the plate. So, really remarkable, memorable experience, fun time.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah, that was a good day.
And Erickson, he said that's control. If you have pitches like that, nothing's over the middle.
Right. And he's throwing a slider 93 miles an hour, which at the time most pitchers didn't throw a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. And,
I've got a memory that it's fun. I didn't even go to this game. It was an afternoon game, and I had come home from work, and I think I was out in the yard, I don't know, getting ready to mow or something like that, and my brother pulls up in his car. He had just come from the game. It was the last of an 11-game homestand at the Metrodome. They played Seattle.
Okay.
And they were losing that game 4-1 in the bottom of the ninth inning. And there was one out. I had to research this to get this right, but I just remember the outcome was amazing. They had one out. Al Newman, he drew a walk, so there's one out, one on. Chuck Knobloch singled to center field, which meant the tying run was at the plate. Like I said, it's 4-1. So with runners at first and second, one out, up to the plate stepped Randy Bush. He tied the game with a ninth inning homer, made it 4-4.
Yeah.
Then with 2 outs in the bottom of the 10th inning, Scotty Elias came up. He had a solo home run, and that gave the Twins a 5-4 win. It gave them a 74-49 record and a 5.5 game lead over second place White Sox at the time. But I remember when my brother was talking, I said, there's something special about this team. They'd had their 15-game winning streak, and they were playing good ball. And I thought, this might be a special season.
Yeah,
I really hope it is. And it was. It was. They went on to win the American League West. And as you'll recall, John, back then there was only East and West divisions.
Yes.
There was no Central. But they won that. They finished with a record of 95 wins and 67 losses. 8 full games ahead of the second place White Sox. And that meant the 91 Twins were going to the postseason for the first time in 4 seasons.
Right. And directly to the American League Championship Series, the ALCS, they didn't have multiple rounds.
Wild cards.
ALCS like and then World Series at the time.
Yep.
Speaking of the standings there, that Western Division, there were no teams in that division below 500.
Oh, wow.
The worst team finished 17 games out. The second place team finished 8 out, and the worst team finished 17 games out at with an exactly 81-81 record.
That was American League West.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And actually, there were only 2 or 3 AL East teams that finished below 500, and they really finished below 500. Yankees were one of them, actually.
Wow.
Cleveland Indians had the worst record. They were terrible at the time.
Wow.
But it's really funny. Cleveland, they only won 59 games, but 12 of them were against AL East power Toronto. They were 12-1 against Toronto and 47 and whatever against the rest of the league.
Well, speaking of Toronto, that was the team the Twins played in the ALCS.
Right.
They'd won the division in the East by 7 games over the Red Sox and the Detroit Tigers. And what I forgot, though, John, was the Twins and Blue Jays had played their final regular season series against each other at the Metrodome after both teams had clinched their respective divisions and they were actually resting their starters.
Yeah, it was the B teams.
Yep, the Blue Jays had won 2 of those last 3 games. And while the consensus among baseball writers and analysts at that time was that the Twins seemed to have a slightly stronger team, the Blue Jays had actually won the season series between the Twins and Jays 8-4.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, okay. What were your thoughts about them playing Toronto? I was kind of scared. I thought this might be tough.
I was very scared of Detroit when the Twins beat them in 5 games in '87. So at that point, I knew anything was possible. Again, they were playing really good baseball. So
You were optimistic then.
yeah,
for the most
I would
part.
say was not necessarily expecting a win or a handy win or anything like that, but I figured they had at least a 50-50 shot of winning it.
Okay, let's look at each game of the American League Championship Series between the Twins and the Blue Jays. Game 1. It was a Tuesday evening, October 8th, 1991, at the Metrodome. Jack Morris started on the mound for the Twins. Tom Candiotti for the Blue Jays.
Knuckleballer.
Yep. The Twins won 5-4. Now, were you at any of the games in the postseason?
No, not in 91.
Okay.
I was in college. And,
Okay,
in Mankato.
Okay. Yeah, there just wasn't time to get there like
Right.
this. So, okay. Well, to recap, Chili Davis, the Twins DH, jump-started the Twins in the bottom of the first inning. With 2 out, 2 on, he singled to left field to score 2 runs. They added 2 more runs in the second inning and another in the third to make it 5-0. Toronto's Candiotti, the knuckleballer, he said, didn't even make it out of the third inning after giving up 5 runs and 8 hits. But it wasn't all smooth sailing for the Twins in Game 1. Morris had been cruising, but then came the top of the 6th inning. With 1 out and a runner on first, Toronto second baseman Roberto Alomar hit a pop-up that the Twins fielders couldn't find in the Metrodome's Teflon roof. That was only supposed to happen to the visiting
Opponents.
teams who played in the Metrodome, right? Anyway, that pop-up from Alomar fell in for a single, and 3 more hits followed. Suddenly, the score was 5-4, and the game had turned into a nail-biter.
Right.
But fortunately for the Twins, they put in reliever Carl Willis. Remember Carl Willis's nickname?
Big Train.
Big Train, yep. He faced 7 batters and retired them all. Morris still got the win, and then closer Rick Aguilera got the save to give the Twins the 1-run victory and a 1-0 lead in the series. On to Game 2. It was played on a Wednesday afternoon, October 9th, 1991, at the Metrodome. Kevin Tapani started on the mound for the Twins. Juan Guzman for the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays won this one 5-2 to even the series at a game apiece. And the big play of Game 2 came in the top of the 3rd inning. Toronto had scored a run in the first inning to lead 1-0, but in the 3rd inning, with 2 outs and runners at second and third, Toronto third baseman Kelly Gruber.
Oh, yeah.
He hit a broken bat single that brought home those 2 base runners and gave the Blue Jays a 3-0 lead. The Twins answered with a run in the bottom of the 3rd inning on a 2-out single by Kirby Puckett, which scored Chuck Knobloch to make it 3-1. The Twins cut the lead to 3-2 in the bottom of the 6th when catcher Brian Harper hit a 2-out single to bring home Knobloch. Actually, Knobloch scored both the runs in that game, it turns out. But that was it for the Twins. The Blue Jays added 2 more runs in the top of the 7th to make it 5-2, which turned out to be the final score. Tapani, he took the loss. He went 6 1/3 innings, gave up 4 runs on 8 hits. The Twins had just 5 hits in Game 2, including 2 singles by Knobloch. And probably the most worrying thing about that game was that Ken Hrbek, Chili Davis, and Shane Mack went 0 for 10 in that game. Not one of them got a hit. So, and John, here's a quirky factoid for you regarding Game 2 of this series. Now, do you remember watching that game? It was an afternoon game, which they seldom do anymore. Well, maybe they do they never do in the World Series anymore. But it was an afternoon
even the
game.
ALCS.
Yeah, but there was a kind of quirky thing in the top of the 3rd inning. The Blue Jays' Roberto Alomar, he slid into first base for an infield single. I mean, most guys don't slide. It must have been a real close place. So he slid into third base. Then he slid into second for a stolen base. And then he slid home to score a run. All head first slides.
Yeah,
So imagine that jersey must have been pretty dirty by the end of the game. 3 head first slides all in the same inning. So, well, I don't know about you, John, but the Game 2 loss, even though I wasn't able to see it in entirety because it was an afternoon game, that one kind of worried me because the Twins had won all of their home playoff games in '87, both the ALCS and the World Series, and I thought, oh, they're not invincible at home. Were you concerned at all as they were about to go on the road at Toronto, or were you still pretty confident?
Yeah, certainly it looked like a good even matchup with Toronto. So yeah, I wasn't like pessimistic. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Okay, Game 3, Friday evening, October 11th, 1991, at Skydome in Toronto. Scott Erickson started on the mound for the Twins. Jimmy Key for the Blue Jays.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny researching this. These names are coming back to me now.
Right.
You know, I hadn't thought of them in
Right.
decades. The Blue Jays still play their home games at the same stadium, but you remember what they call it today? The recent World Series. They don't call it Sky Dome anymore. They got an official name for it. And I'll explain why in a second.
I don't know. Rogers Center, is that what
Very
it's
good.
called?
Yep. And they spell it Centre. It's a Canadian.
Centra.
Yeah, Centra. It's had that name since 2005 because Rogers Communications is the parent company of the Blue
okay.
Jays. So
Got it.
they're going to name the
Yep.
stadium after their owners. So anyway, Game 3 was a thriller. The Twins bounced back from a Game 2 loss at home to beat the Blue Jays 3-2 in 10 innings. The big play of the game came in the top of the 10th inning when Twins pinch hitter Mike Pagliarulo crushed a fastball over the right field fence, catapulting the Twins to victory and a 2-1 lead in the series. Okay, John, here's a genius-level baseball question for you. Who was the Toronto pitcher that gave up that home run to Pags? If you guess this one, you got to go on Jeopardy. I mean, it's just
I'll go with Dave Stieb.
good guess. Good guess.
He was a starter, but I thought maybe I threw him in an extra innings.
The pitcher was Mike Timlin.
Oh, yeah.
Does the name ring a bell at all?
Yeah,
Okay.
it does.
He actually he was a rookie that year.
Oh, wow.
But he would go on to pitch for 18 seasons, and he played on 4 World Series champions.
No kidding.
2 with the Blue Jays, and then 2 with the Red Sox.
Okay.
But I mentioned that only because of the fact that he had a pretty successful baseball
Yeah.
career. But he's the one that gave up that home run to Pags. The Twins starter in Game 3, Scott Erickson, wasn't exactly great in the 4 innings he pitched. He gave up 2 runs on 3 hits, and he also walked 5 batters.
Yeah.
But fortunately, though, the Twins relievers, David West, Big Train, Carl Willis, Mark Guthrie, and Rick Aguilera were great. They held the Blue Jays scoreless over 6 innings. Now, before Pags' game-winning homer in the top of the 10th inning, the other big hit for the Twins in Game 3 came in the top of the 6th inning. While they were trailing 2-1, Chuck Knobloch hit a 1-out triple, and Kirby Puckett followed with a single to short right field to score Knobloch, which tied the score at 2, and it remained 2-2 through the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. And here are 2 fun facts about Game 3, John. In 1991, Pags' game-winning homer was only the 4th extra-inning homer in 23 years of the playoffs at that point.
Yep.
And it was also the Twins' first home run of the series.
Okay.
You know, all those games, they played games, but nobody hit a home run until Pags did. So, on to Game 4. Saturday evening, October 12th, 1991, at Sky Dome. Jack Morris started on the mound for the Twins. Todd Stottlemyre.
Oh, yeah.
Was his dad Mel Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Okay. He pitched for the Blue Jays, and I love this game, or at least the way it turned out. The Twins were actually trailing 1-0 after 3 innings, but then they rallied for 4 runs in the top of the 4th and added 5 more runs over the last 4 innings to win convincingly, 9-3. I was feeling really good about that game after that happened. And big plays in that game. In the 4th inning, Kirby Puckett led off with a homer to deep center field. Chili Davis hit a 1-out double down right field line, and later scored on a 2-out single to center field by Mike Pagliarulo. But the Twins weren't done. With 2 outs and the bases loaded, Dan Gladden hit a broken bat bloop single to right field that scored 2 more runs and put the Twins up 4-1. 4 runs on 4 hits. And then Morris on the mound, he went 8 innings, threw 110 pitches, scattered 9 hits, and gave up 2 runs to go 2-0 in the series. Okay, here's another good question for you. We haven't mentioned his name yet, so if you know this one, I'll be impressed. You know, they had that big lead, 9-2 lead after 8 innings. And then in the bottom of the 9th, who came in to pitch for Morris? Do you remember who the reliever was? Remember, this wasn't a save situation, so it's not going to be Aguilera.
No. I'll just throw out a name, Ken Schramm.
Oh, okay. I'm impressed that you're throwing out these names. His name is Steve Bedrosian.
Oh, Bedrock.
Yeah.
Who later became a really good relief pitcher.
Yeah. He must have been almost like a rookie or pretty young in baseball at that time then.
Yeah. He had been with one other team, I think, before.
Yeah, Bedrosian, he gave up a run on 2 hits, but he also struck out 2.
Yep.
And the Twins went on to win and took a 3-1 lead in the series. And for the second time in as many nights, Pags really stepped up.
Yeah.
In Game 4, he racked up 2 RBI. Plus, and I'd forgotten about this, Pags made a beautiful play with his glove at third base in the bottom of the 5th inning. He made this diving, backhanded stab of a sinking potential double off the bat of Roberto Alomar. I've mentioned Roberto Alomar's name a lot. He was a pepper pot. I mean, he's a second baseman. Good ball player, though.
He was. Very good.
So were you feeling pretty good after that 9-3 win.
For sure. Two games in a row.
I said, let's just get this over with tomorrow. Let's just end it. So, okay, Game 5. Sunday afternoon, another afternoon game. October 13th, 1991. Again, at Sky Dome. Kevin Tapani started on the mound for the Twins. Tom Candiotti for the Blue Jays. The Twins won 8-5 to win the American League Championship Series 4-1. And one of the bright spots in that fifth and final game of the ALCS came off Ken Hrbek's, what they were calling a sleeping bat. He hadn't been hitting all that well.
Yeah, right.
It woke up in the top of the eighth inning. He hit this 2-out single to left center field that drove in the final 2 runs to secure the victory. And another bright spot was Chuck Knobloch's 2-run double in the 6th that pushed the Twins to a come-from-behind 5-5 tie. And just before Hrbek's 2-run single in the 8th inning, Kirby Puckett had put the Twins ahead 6-5 with a single to right field. Kevin Tapani, starting on the mound for the Twins, went 4 innings and gave up all 5 of the Blue Jays' runs. But relievers David West, who threw 3 innings and actually got the win, Big Train Willis, and Rick Aguilera combined to keep the Blue Jays scoreless the rest of the way. And then there was a little bit of drama, and this might be obscure now because it's been 30-some years ago, but in the bottom of the 9th inning, Game 5, the game-clinching win, Dan Gladden, playing left field, he squeezed a long fly ball off the bat of Roberto Alomar to wrap up the series. He made a really nice catch. That was like the last play of the game. And then, of course, after he did that, then the Twins celebrated like crazy on the field because they had won it, and they won the pennant, and they were going back to the World Series. And can you guess who was the ALCS MVP?
I mean, it could have been Pegs. Could have been Jack Morris. I'll say Pegs.
Okay, that's a good guess because he really came through.
Right.
I mean, that was probably his best series as a major leaguer. So. But actually, this guy, he went 3 for 5, including a leadoff homer in the first inning, had 2 singles and 2 RBIs, and he hit .429 for the series. This included 2 home runs and 5 RBI for the ALCS. He played center field for the Twins.
Yeah, Mr. Puckett.
Kirby. Yep, Kirby got the MVP for that. So, and Kirby was just getting warmed up because then came the World Series. So here's an interesting fact about that ALCS, John. Did you know that when the Twins beat the Blue Jays in Game 5 to win the ALCS, they were also the first and still the only playoff team to ever win 3 games on the road in a league championship series?
Well, yeah, I didn't.
Yeah,
that
was impressive. It's fun looking through these archives. You see these things like, wow, okay. And John, before we get to the 1991 World Series, do you know how home field advantage for the series is determined, or how it was determined at that time in 91?
It was just a rotation. So every division took turns as being it went league to league, and it was so it was the American League's turn to be the home team.
It was literally odd years and even years.
Yeah, right.
The American League would host in odd years, which was both 87 and 91 were odd years. So the Twins got to have home field advantage. Had nothing to do with the record. It was just strictly that was until 2002.
Yep.
And then from 2003 to 2016, do you remember how they determined home field?
That would have been record, or was it the All-Star Game thing?
It was crazy because, what happened was, I think the reason I think there was a tie All-Star game. They ran out of players, and they said, you have to have that All-Star game mean something.
Right.
So they said, okay, whoever wins the All-Star game will get the World Series. Well, that still didn't seem to work. People were complaining because it's an All-Star game.
Right. And, the leagues their best players would only play a couple innings.
Yeah. So we can't determine home field advantage over an All-Star game.
Yep.
So what they finally did, and that was until 2016. They were doing that that was for like 14 seasons. But then in 2017, then they just said, okay, the team with the best record.
Yeah,
And, it makes sense. They do that in the NFL. They do it in the NBA. Whoever has the best record is going to get home field advantage for, playoffs. So,
right.
And that's the way it's been. Okay, and now let's look at each game of the 1991 World Series between the Twins and the Atlanta Braves. And because it was 91, the Twins had home field advantage. This was the 88th edition of the World Series. And it was also one of the most unlikely World Series matchups ever because both the Twins and Braves became the first 2 teams in Major League Baseball history to go from last place to first place in the space of one season. Let's go to game one. It was a Saturday evening, October 19th, 1991, at the Metrodome. Jack Morris started on the mound for the Twins. Charlie Leibrandt for the Braves.
Right.
In game one, the Twins cruised behind Morris and won the game 5-2. At the plate, Chuck Knobloch opened the scoring in the bottom of the third inning with a 2-out single. But the key hit was Greg Gagney's 3-run homer off Leibrandt in the bottom of the fifth inning.
Right.
Ken Hrbek also homered a solo shot in the bottom of the sixth. What were your thoughts after game one over the Braves? What did you think?
I was hoping they'd pitch Charlie Leibrandt against the Twins in every game. They had good pitching, and that wouldn't have been my choice as the first game starter.
Yeah. I was glad to see him get off to a good start.
Yeah.
And,
for sure.
Get that home win like that. Get things up to a good start.
If Leibrandt had pitched in the World Series for Kansas City.
He would have.
In 85, but I don't know if he went back. He was not a young guy, so
no, right.
Maybe that was the thought.
Yeah, he had World Series experience. That's right.
That's
what you said. And I'd completely forgotten about this, and this was a ceremonial thing, and maybe you weren't even watching it on TV when it happened, but do you remember who threw out the first pitch of game one? It was pretty emotional.
Yes, the umpire, Steve Palermo.
Very good. Yep.
Who had gotten shot.
Yes, he had suffered a spinal injury that July in Dallas. He was actually trying to stop a robbery.
Right.
He got shot, and so obviously he was done umping, but he came out there on crutches and threw out the pitch, and then all the umpires hugged him afterwards.
I mean, that was a shame because that guy was a really good umpire, too. I'd put him up there with Tim Cheetah as two of the better umpires that the league has ever seen.
Yeah, he tried to help somebody, and he got shot for it.
Exactly.
So, but that was quite a emotional first pitch of that game. So
no doubt.
Okay, on to game two. That was a Sunday, October 20th, 1991, at the Metrodome. Kevin Tapani started on the mound for the Twins. Tom Gladden for the Braves.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, game two was closer, but again, the Twins prevailed and won 3-2. Chili Davis smacked a 2-run homer in the bottom of the first inning, and then Scotty Elias broke a 2-2 deadlock with a solo shot in the bottom of the eighth. And then good old Rick Aguilera gained his second save in as many nights. Tapani got the win. He won 8 innings and scattered 7 hits and gave up both of the Braves 2 runs. But okay, this is game two. This is a fun one. I look back on this. It brought back a memory. If there was one play in that game that stands out the most to you, what was it?
Oh, it would have been Hrbek throwing the guy off the base.
Yes. Do you remember who the player was?
Was it Pendleton?
Oh, it was Ron Gant.
Ron Gant, that's right.
Let me set this up for you. It'll bring back. It was the top of the third inning. There were 2 outs. The Braves' Lonnie Smith was on first when Ron Gant ripped a single to left. Smith, he was running on the pitch. He had slid into third base. Dan Gladden in left field, he made a throw to third, but it ricocheted off Scotty Elias. Tapani, being the good pitcher he was backing up Elias. So he got the ball.
Right.
He retrieved the ball. Gant had made a wide turn at first base.
Well, yeah.
And Tapani threw it back to first. Hrbek caught it. And just about the time that he caught it, Gant got back to first, and he used his right foot, so he's kind of leaning toward the outfield, and he's got his foot on the bag. But then Hrbek, who was about 70 pounds heavier than Gant, used his left arm, his glove hand, to kind of pick up Gant's leg. He leaned into Gant and picked up his leg,
Right.
and so his foot was off the bag, and he's got the ball.
Right.
And do you remember who the umpire was?
No.
He called him out. He said that Gant had his momentum caused him to lose contact.
And it kind of did. I mean, he was going in standing up,
right,
which was a big mistake.
Yeah.
And so, he had momentum to go past the base.
Right.
And, Hrbek put his glove on him in a very firm manner. And
I said he was much bigger than Gant, too.
He was.
Weighed him by about 70 pounds.
Right.
So. The umpire's name was Drew Coble.
Drew Coble, that's right.
I think he got some hate mail after that.
I'm sure.
So did Hrbek.
I'm sure. Well, yeah. I mean, right.
Well, anyway, after that 2-0, they suddenly had a 2-game lead in the series. I thought, okay, this is great. And I said to myself, okay, this time when you go on the road, win at least one game. Don't get swept on the road. I mean, we can't keep tempting fate like this.
Yep.
But they still had to go out and play the game. So were you feeling pretty good, though? I mean,
Yeah,
I'd rather be up 2-0 than down 2-0.
For sure.
I guess, so.
For sure.
All right, on to game 3. That was on a Tuesday evening, October 22nd, 1991, at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. I wonder if that stadium is still there. Probably tore it down.
Yeah.
Put a shopping center there like they did.
Probably.
Scott Erickson started on the mound for the Twins. Steve Avery for the Braves.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun
Steve Avery.
hearing these names again.
Yep.
It began on a promising note for the Twins. Dan Gladden led off the game with a triple and later scored on a sacrifice fly by Chuck Knobloch. But the Braves scored 4 unanswered runs and led 4-1 after 6 innings. The Twins battled back, though, and tied the game in the top of the 8th inning. Chili Davis, the usual DH, who was relegated to pinch hitting duty because of National League rules, he hit a 2-run homer to knot the score at 4-4. In the top of the 12th inning, with the score still 4-4, Braves second baseman Mark Lemke, remember that?
Mark Lemke, that pesky guy.
He had botched a tailor-made double play in the top of the 12th inning that put runners at first and third with 1 out. But unfortunately, the Twins couldn't score. So it's still 4-4. And then literally minutes later, that same pesky Lemke singled off Rick Aguilar, in the bottom of the 12th to score David Justice, which gave the Braves a 5-4 victory. So that was a tough loss.
I do think, now that you mentioned the National League rules, I do think that lent itself to the Twins having an advantage at home and the National League team, be it the Cardinals, be it the Braves.
Right.
Because they were built more for that National League style. And there was a big difference back then.
Yeah, it was. The Twins went through 7 pitchers in that game. Erickson pitched 4 2/3. David West walked both batters he faced in the bottom of the 5th inning. Terry Leach, who haven't mentioned him yet, he pitched a third of an inning.
He came over in that trade.
Oh, okay. He was
came
from the Mets?
Yes,
okay,
from the Mets.
All right. Steve Bedrosian.
Yep.
Big Train Willis, again. Mark Guthrie. They each threw 2 innings. And because the game went into extra innings, lots of substitutes were made. And in 1991, of course, World Series games played in the National League parks did not allow the use of the DH. Right. Aguilera, the Twins' closer, actually pinch hit in the 12th inning. Do you remember that? Or I do remember that because it's like he's not supposed to bat.
They ran out of position players.
But you know what? He actually hit a fly ball. I mean, he didn't just take 3 lame swing. He actually hit a fly ball. Right,
and he had been a starter, so he probably had a lot of at bats in the National League over the first part of his career.
And at least until the 90s or 2000s, every guy that played Major League Baseball knew how to bat. I mean, even the pitchers, they all knew how to swing a bat. So, and it's funny, every Twin on that roster, every Twin in that dugout played except for 2 guys, Jack Morris and Kevin Tapney.
Right, the previous starters.
Every other guy on the roster got in that game somehow. So okay. On to Game 4. That was a Wednesday evening, October 23rd, 1991, at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. Jack Morris was back on the mound for the Twins, and John Smoltz for the Braves.
Okay.
Another nail-biter.
A preview of things to come.
Exactly, yeah. But Atlanta evened the series with a dramatic 3-2 victory. And this is how this one went. The Twins' 2 runs came off the bat of Mike Pagliarulo, Pags. His 1-out single in the top of the 2nd inning scored Brian Harper from second base. Atlanta tied it at 1-1 on a homer by Terry Pendleton in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Pags then hit a solo homer in the top of the 7th to put the Twins up 2-1. But that lead was short-lived. Lonnie Smith tied the game in the bottom of the 7th with his solo homer. In the bottom of the 9th inning, with runners at first and third, pinch hitter Jerry Willard's sacrifice fly barely scored Mark Lemke with the winning run when Lemke eluded catcher Brian Harper's tag with a fadeaway slide. That was a great shot or a great play. So what were your thoughts after that game? It suddenly tied 2-2. It's like, oh man,
here we go again.
I know. Yeah,
same old thing as 87.
Can't do it the easy way. You gotta make it tough. So I thought, okay, maybe Game 5 will be the difference. We'll see. On to Game 5, Thursday, October 24th, 1991. Again, at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. It the third and last game of the series to be played in Atlanta. Kevin Tapani started on the mound for the Twins, Tom Gladden for the Braves. But Game 5 was no contest, really. The first 3 innings were scoreless, but then the Braves hammered 5 Twins pitchers for 14 runs on their way to a 14-5 rout and a 3-2 edge in the series. This was really the only lopsided game of that series.
Right.
And in that Game 5 loss, the Washington/Minnesota franchise had lost 14 straight World Series road games dating back to 1925. And that's a streak that remains active.
Right,
for the
I
Twins.
was going to say.
It's still 14 straight.
Right.
But that was really the only blow-up game of the whole series. So, what were you thinking after that game?
Well, all the other games were close, and a lot of extra inning games, a lot of nail biters. So, and we had experienced what happened in ¡87, where the Twins also were down 3-2.
Yep.
We're going back home. I don't know. I wasn't depressed or anything, but I was certainly anxious.
Yeah. I was the same way. In fact, I was almost pessimistic. I remember going to work that Friday morning, telling people, "Oh, they're done. There's no way they're going to be able to do this again." It was hard enough in '87. It's just too much. Okay, on to Game 6. Saturday night, October 26, 1991, at the Metrodome, back the good old Metrodome. Scott Erickson started on the mound for the Twins and Steve Avery for the Braves. With the score tied 3-3, Kirby Puckett led off the bottom of the 11th inning and walloped Charlie Lebrandt's 4th pitch over the left field fence to give the Twins a 4-3 win and extend the series to 7 games.
Right. That was the famous conversation where Kirby said to Chili Davis in the on-deck circle, he's going to throw me a changeup and I'm going to hit it out of the ballpark and we're going to leave. And then he did it. Called his shot.
That was an amazing performance by Puckett in that game. The Braves had scored a run in the top of the 7th inning to tie the game at 3-3. It remained tied until that 11th inning. Braves manager Bobby Cox then sent his Game 1 starter, Charlie Lebrandt, in a highly unfamiliar role as a reliever late in an extra inning game and very late at night to the mound to face Puckett. Cox endured some criticism for that move because the Braves still had several relievers at their disposal.
Oh, right.
They had a lefty and 2 right-handers, but the move made sense on another level because, like you had mentioned before, John, Lebrandt was the only pitcher on their roster, left on their roster, who had previous World Series experience.
Okay, all right.
And even though Lebrandt had been subpar in his Game 1 start, the 3 hitters scheduled to bat for the Twins in the 11th had a combined 0 for 6 against Lebrandt in Game 1. So, in fact, Puckett had struck out twice against Lebrandt in Game 1. Right. But in the bottom of the 11th inning, with the count of 2 balls and 1 strike, Puckett smashed the next pitch into left center field for the game-winning home run to tie the series at 3 games apiece. And for all of us,
and we'll see you tomorrow night.
I'm just going to say, what did Jack Buck say at the end of the game? Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow night. Yep, that was great. That's a line that any Twins fan will remember. Saw that game. So, in fact, John, this game had to be one of the brightest moments in Kirby Puckett's career. He had some 6-hit games, and he's in the Hall of Fame. That Game 6 of the '91 World Series had to be one of his most memorable.
With the great catch, too.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he made that catch in the top of the 3rd inning. Remember who the batter was?
Oh, I don't know. I'm going to guess Justice.
It was Ron Gant again.
Ron Gant,
he had to play with Hrbek at first, and then he's the one that hit that ball. And Puckett robbed him of at least a double, maybe a triple.
Right up against plexiglass.
Yep. Didn't they take down that plexiglass? I thought so toward the end.
They did for Joe Mauer to hit all those home runs.
Yeah, right.
Barely over the fence. He would have had a higher batting average maybe, but far less home runs if that glass was still there.
How were you feeling after Game 6 then? I was feeling a lot better than I was after Game 5.
Yeah, and you had, Jack Morris coming back, and what a game. Holy cow, that, very dramatic win. Puckett, the best he's ever been, and he's was a good one.
Yep.
That was great.
And let's go on to Game 7 then. It was a Sunday night, October 27th, 1991, at the Metrodome. This one was for all the marbles, so to speak. Jack Morris started on the mound for the Twins, John Smoltz for the Braves, and dramatic finale. The score was tied 0-0 through 9 innings before the Twins scored the winning run in the bottom of the 10th inning to win the game 1-0 in the World Series championship 4-3. I'm going to list my what I call 4 big plays in that game. There might be more, but these are ones that I discovered as I was reminiscing. The first big play was in the top of the 5th inning with 2 outs, full count. Braves had runners at first and third. Morris whizzed a fastball in the outside corner by Ron Gant. Second big play. In the top of the 8th inning, 1 out, Braves had the bases loaded. Their first baseman, Sid Bream, he hit a ground ball to Ken Hrbek, who threw it home to Harper.
Yep.
And Harper then threw it back to Hrbek. So they got a double play.
Yep.
And got out of that inning. Otherwise, they would have given up a run. The third big play, it was in the bottom of the 8th inning. Bases loaded, 1 out. You're thinking, all right, Twins go. Hrbek's at the plate. Ducks on the pond, just find a place, hit it. Unfortunately, Hrbek hit a line drive, not a real hard line drive, but it was a line drive. And it went to second baseman Mark Lemke, that pesky Mark Lemke again, who then stepped on second to end the inning.
Double play.
So it's still no score. And then the fourth and best big play, bottom of the 10th inning. Dan Gladden led off with a double to center field and advanced to third on a bunt by Chuck Knobloch. Kirby Puckett and Ken Hrbek both received intentional walks to load the bases.
Right.
So with the bases loaded and 1 out, both the Atlanta infield and outfield were playing in.
Yes.
Just to have a shorter throw and a better chance of throwing out a runner at home if it went to the outfield.
Right.
Gene Larkin
Yes.
then hit a fly ball to center field that no one could catch because they were playing so short. Gladden easily scored from third. I remember him kind of jumping on home plate when he got there, everybody mobbing him. And the Twins won the Game 7 of a World Series for the ages.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been a sacrifice fly, even if somebody was playing deep or hit it deep enough that was going to get the run in either way. But yeah, that was big.
Special moment.
It was.
So Gene Larkin, I don't think we'd mentioned his name once while we talked about the American League Championship Series, or the World Series for that matter. He got the game-winning hit, maybe an unlikely hero of the heroes, but still a hero. And I didn't hear any Twins fans complaining about him getting that hit afterwards. So.
No. Tom Kelly loved Gene Larkin. He's a switch hitter. He was a good professional hitter. And Kelly loved using him late in games in the right spot. And hey, what better spot?
Oh, that was just amazing. Just amazing. I remember that game too. It was an extra inning game. It started like at 7:40 Central Time.
Yeah.
It was almost 11 o'clock before the game ended. And I remember I was watching it in my home. My daughter was only 3 years old at the time, and she was sound asleep. And I'm in the living room watching this game, and I couldn't yell at all because I didn't want to wake her up. But I remember when Larkin got that hit and they scored the run, I remember I was whisper hollering. I'm going, yeah, jumping up and down because they'd won the thing. So
that's funny.
I remember going back to, I went into work the next morning, even though I was tired. I was going on about 5 hours of sleep, but everybody was in just too good a mood. Everybody was happy about that. So, and what can you say about Jack Morris in Game 7?
Oh, yeah.
Pitched all 10 innings, 3 days rest, gave up 7 hits and no runs, struck out 8. It was and still is the longest pitching performance in the 7th game of the World Series. And while Kirby Puckett was outstanding in Game 6, we were just talking about that, Morris was awarded the World Series MVP for his efforts. Yeah. He won 3 of the 4 games for the Twins after all.
Right. And, with the Game 7, Jack the horse, ride my back, boys.
That was legendary. I think that game alone, I mean, he was a good Major League pitcher, but I think that game is really what put him in the Hall of Fame.
It should. I mean,
just amazing. Just amazing. I've got something fun to show you, John. I was looking at the Star Tribune archives in the morning paper the day after the Twins had won the World Series. The headline on the front page, not the sports page, but page 1 of the Star Tribune, it was Twin Credible. Play on the words. One for the storybooks. And look, John, what I've got here, this is from the Pioneer Press that day after. This is the front page, not the sports page. It's twice world champs, Morris and Series, both are classics.
Yep.
And there's a big picture of Morris on the front page. And then in the sports section itself, it just says, "Good night, St. Jack." And it's got Morris becomes a world beater. So
Right.
it was fun. I'm glad I kept this. I thought I had the Star Tribune, an actual copy of that, but I saw it online, so that's why I read about it. But pretty exciting stuff. And just like when they won the World Series in '87, the Twins had a parade after winning the '91 series. Did you go to any of the festivities for that one?
I did not.
Okay.
Like I said, I was away at college, and so I mean, I was home to watch the weekend games,
Right,
but
right.
then off to college for the week. And
They did have a celebration in the Dome after that series, and I remember both mayors of Minneapolis and St. Paul. It was Norm Coleman from St. Paul, and then Don Fraser was Minneapolis mayor. But they were on the field with the team, and everybody was excited and all that stuff. So that was fun. And that's all great. I mean, the 91 series is wonderful, and no one can take that away from us. But just for those listeners who may have forgotten or would like to forget or were too young to remember or weren't even born in 91, what happened in the Twin Cities just 4 days after the Twins won the World Series?
it has to do with 27 inches.
Yep, the 1991 Halloween blizzard is how they called it. An extreme record-shattering storm in the Twin Cities, considered one of the worst snow events in Minnesota history, brought the region to a standstill with a record-setting, they're saying here, 28.4 inches.
Okay.
Well, 27. That's a lot of snow. High winds, dangerous conditions that resulted in significant damage and even some loss of life. Now, the 28.4 inches, that was at the airport. That's what they recorded there. On Halloween night alone, 8.2 inches fell.
Yeah, that's when it started.
I remember it was Halloween, and there were kids coming to our door for trick-or-treats, and the snow was like, I think it was more than 8 inches. And these kids had their costumes, and the snow was up to their knees. And I'm going, you poor kids. My daughter didn't even go out for trick-or-treating. She was wearing a Minnesota Gophers cheerleading outfit for a 3-year-old.
Nice.
And she was watching people come up the doors, but we weren't even going to go out that night. We just stayed there.
Good call.
Yeah. But, I mean, 900 schools and several businesses in Minnesota were closed that next day. In fact, Prudential was closed. That was the only time I recall that I got a call from my manager saying, the office is closed. I don't think we ever had another closed day. The rest of the time I worked there until 2003, it was nuts. It was just and it's not even a week after the World Series. I thought, what would happen if that had happened?
Yeah,
they would have probably had to find an alternate locale, like go to Milwaukee or someplace close by. It's like when the Vikings had that when the Metrodome collapsed, they had to play some home games, like at Detroit, I think. They played
for a couple weeks, and
they
then
played
at the bank.
Yes, right. So crazy. John, of all the years you've followed Major League Baseball, do you think the 1991 World Series between the Twins and Braves was one of the best ever?
Oh, yeah. As far as just competitive, dramatic, lots of extra innings, and even the ones that weren't extra innings, a lot of one-run type games. I mean, it was, if you were a neutral observer, that had to be a very entertaining World Series.
Yep. And I'm asking this question for the benefit of our listeners. It was only a short time ago, as we were recording this, that the Dodgers and Blue Jays had a dramatic World Series.
Right. Very similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah, just very, very great baseball. Great baseball. Just, no matter, even if you don't have a dog in the fight, it's like, man, this is some great stuff. So
right. But, two more improbable teams.
Right. Worst to first, right?
Right. But, like teams that weren't traditional. This wasn't the Yankees against the Dodgers or, like storied franchises. This was two teams that would, become, the Twins had become a good team over several years, and Atlanta was becoming a good team.
Right. Yeah, they actually won a lot of division championships, didn't they?
Yeah.
It was a good run.
Probably 12 out of the next 15 or something like that.
Yeah, they really went on a run, so... Sadly for the Twins, though, 1991 was the last time the Twins played in the World Series. They played in the American League Championship Series against the Angels in 2002, but After winning the first game of that series, the then Anaheim Angels took the next 4 games to win the American League pennant, and they also went on to beat the Giants in the World Series in 2002. Right. So, I mean, it's not like the Twins have had just terrible baseball since then. They've won 6 division titles between 2003 and 2019, but they lost each time in the first round. In 2017, they lost a wild card game to the Yankees, I remember. They lost a wild card series to the Astros in 2020, 2-0. They did beat the Blue Jays in the wild card series in 2023, just a couple years ago, but then they lost the Astros in the ALDS. So, do you think the Twins will advance the World Series anytime soon, John? Or
not in the very near future.
Right.
I mean, but I will say, after 1990, we thought the same way.
True. Good point. Good point.
I mean, the core was there, but it was, not an optimistic time. If the Twins go out and sign the equivalent of Jack Morris and Chili Davis now, this offseason, that changes the game a lot.
I didn't think it happened, so. And not to be a total Debbie Downer, John, but that 1991 Twins team is still the most recent appearance and win by a Minnesota-based Big Four team,
right.
Including the Vikings, Twins, the Wild, and the Timberwolves. No one's gotten to the finals of whatever since then. So
right.
We're due.
Yes, we are.
We're due for something. So, all right, John, I'm going to give you the last word. What would be your favorite takeaways about the 1991 Twins season when they won the World Series?
Yeah. Well, if I had to describe that team, it was professional. Those guys were ball players. They played the game right. They were very smooth, exciting, dramatic. It's actually no surprise that they won a lot of close games because they didn't beat themselves. And very entertaining season in a different way than 87. 87 was, out of nowhere, here came this, fun team.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of fun, whereas the 91 team was more, punch the clock and get it done.
Yeah, very, very businesslike, but they were good. They were competent.
They were.
They played well when they had to, so, yeah. Well, this has been fun, John. It was great to get together again with you to share memories of the 1991 Twins and their World Series championship, just like we did in another podcast about 87. But it's always fun to talk about championships. So thanks again for joining me on this podcast, John.
Great. Thanks, Bob. Thanks for having me.
And again, to our listeners, thanks for hanging out with me, Bob Edholm, and Jon Lawrence, my friend from Northeast Minneapolis. We hope you'll join us for the next episode of Hanging Out with Bob, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And until then, bye.